Hello VR gamers! Having a little trouble sneaking, assassinating, and fighting your way through Assassins Creed Nexus VR on the Oculus Quest 2 or 3? Well, good thing you found this video. We've got 5 useful Assassins Creed Nexus tips and tricks on the Oculus Quest that should help you out. Starting with tip number 1. Climb high to stay unseen. It's no secret that Assassins Creed Nexus VR has one of the best movement and parkour systems in all of virtual reality gaming. The ability to run, vault, and climb like an Assassin's Creed character with your actual hands using the Oculus Quest's touch controllers is absolutely fantastic and immerses you into the feeling of being an elite assassin like never before. Of course, this ability, as awesome as it is, also comes with new challenges and opportunities. It's even sort of physically tiring to pull yourself up over ledges and swing from rooftop to rooftop if you do it for long enough, but it's always worth it when you can. Mastering the ways that you can traverse the world in Assassin's Creed Nexus is vital because you get a lot of advantages by being up high instead of on the ground. While it can be tempting to sneak around where your enemies are on ground level, staying up high wherever you can is almost always a great idea. You'll find most guards on the ground floor, and they won't be able to see you if you're above them. Their eyes will stay on ground level, so climbing on top of a building will make you practically invisible to most of the enemies patrolling and looking for you, and you'll find a lot more easy opportunities to ambush or sneak past your opponents. Staying up high can be the difference between easily sneaking through an area and getting caught a bunch of times. Not to mention, getting up high can also make it very easy to evade guards that have already spotted you. And speaking of that, we're on to tip number 2. If you're losing a fight, you can just run. If the alarm is raised, you won't be quite so invisible to guards and might find yourself in a fight. The combat in Assassin's Creed Nexus VR is pretty easy to learn, but despite the skills of the 3 different playable assassins in this VR game, you're far from invincible. In fact, you're actually kind of fragile, even on normal difficulty. And a few hits can take you to a game over screen and force you to restart from a checkpoint. This, of course, isn't ideal. Remember, you're an assassin. Speed, skill, and stealth are your greatest assets, and there's no reason not to use them. If a fight isn't going your way, you can always just run. This is an especially good idea if you're wounded or heavily outnumbered. Using your parkour is also a good idea here, and so getting up high is a great way to break their line of sight to you and run away to get some distance before coming back when the alarm has died down. Breaking off from the fight and letting things cool off for a bit is a good way to give yourself more opportunities to ambush your enemies from stealth. There's also plenty of other Assassin's Creed tactics that appear at Assassin's Creed Nexus as well, like the ability to hide inside of bushes or stacks of hay. If nobody sees you go into it, then you can just be patient until they go away. This is a useful skill to have because there will also be times that you're forced to flee, like after each assassination mission. Usually you can run away whenever you want, but sometimes you will be forced to fight without the ability to flee, and you generally can flee if things aren't going your way. Luckily, there are plenty of tools in your arsenal to help with that as well. Tip number 3, don't forget your ranged weapons. Whether you're stealthing around or found yourself in an unfavorable brawl, you've got some useful weapons other than your sword and hidden blade that you can use to even the odds. While you'll have limited ammunition for them, using your limited resources is generally preferable to losing, so don't forget these tools and use them when you need them. Oh, and if you don't have some of these yet, then don't worry, you'll unlock them as you progress through the missions. The throwing knives, for instance, are a great way to easily take down an enemy and even the numbers of a fight when they aren't ready for it. Some enemies can block a knife out of the way, especially if you just hit them with one, but plenty won't see it coming and will be brought down. Even tougher officer enemies will take a good bit of damage from them if you hit them when they are prepared for it. Throwing knives can also silently take down guards, but they're also easy to use in the heat of combat in Assassin's Creed Nexus VR. Your bow is also silent, but it's much more cumbersome to use, but it also has a greater range and deadlier accuracy, especially in the case of Ezio's crossbow. This is an especially good weapon to use from stealth or when you get a little height and distance from your enemies so that you've got the time to pull it out and use it. The best use of the bow is to take on enemies that are looking down from high places like rooftops or walls. They should always be your first targets for stealthy takedowns, and it's generally easier to just shoot them from afar than to try to make your way over to them and use your hidden blade. While you can't just easily shoot down all of your enemies from far away using your ranged weapons due to your limited ammo, come on, that would just be too easy, they are still a great way to remove guards that are especially troublesome without having to get up close and personal. Though, if you have to get up close and personal and get spotted, you can always use your smoke bombs to help you escape. They're very powerful, even in the linear sections of the game where you don't really have anywhere to run to. Smoke bombs will stun your enemies and also give you a window to run through the smoke and take them down with your hidden blade in a single strike before they even knew what hit them. While it can be easy to forget these tools, or it may seem like too much trouble to access them while you're fighting for your life, use them whenever you're in a tough spot, and they'll generally help you get out of it. Tip number 4, stealth is vital. Knowing how to properly utilize stealth in Assassin's Creed Nexus is vital to being a good assassin. Even if you're a more combat-oriented player, which is a completely valid playstyle in most cases, it's still great to even the odds before jumping into a fight by getting a few ambush kills with your hidden blade. You might even be able to eavesdrop on a conversation and get some helpful information on what to do next. Speaking of the hidden blade, it's a great way to take out enemies quickly, even if they just noticed you, but before they become alerted. If you don't have the patience for stealth, then running between a few enemies that haven't noticed you and taking them out with the hidden blade is a great way to thin them out. Though you'll find that it's a lot of fun and a great way to feel like a true Assassin's Creed assassin, to take out guards and trick your positions by attracting them with noise. Sometimes running up to a guard will get you surrounded, or just shooting them with the bow might alert other guards nearby when they see their buddy drop to the ground. You could always attract a few guards away from the pack if they're close together by throwing an object into a quiet corner or whistling to get their attention. Even ignoring guards completely can be a good move at times, and some levels are laid out in a way where doing so is actually much easier than fighting your way out, so be sure to give stealth a try before you pull out your sword and rush into combat. Even guards with keys to pickpocket can sometimes actually be ignored, since you can just lockpick the door or chest they have a key to instead of getting it off them. If you're having trouble staying undetected, just remember to get up high when you can and avoid guards by just looking at them for a bit so they're marked, and you'll always know where they are even through walls so they can't sneak up on you as easily. Tip number 5, explore. This is possibly less a tip to make you better at Assassin's Creed Nexus, and more one to enhance your enjoyment of it. I highly recommend that you take some time in between mission objectives to explore the cities that you'll find yourself in. This VR game has some of the best looking cities for you to explore, and with the parkour systems, a very fun way to explore them. There's really no experience like Assassin's Creed Nexus VR for exploring these historical cities in immersive virtual reality. Take a little time, climb around. You'll get a lot better with the parkour and with other aspects of the game like your bow if you do some of the challenges sprinkled across the map. While you could ignore most of the massive open worlds of Assassin's Creed Nexus and just go straight for your objectives, these cities are really magical to explore in VR. So look around a bit, especially if you're very new to the game, and you'll find yourself getting much better at parkour and enjoying the sights and sounds of history. Well, that's all the Assassin's Creed Nexus VR tips and tricks I've got for you. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if these helped you out. And once again, enjoy yourself out there in virtual reality.